Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and today we're visiting with Kristin Hildabrand, Warren County Extension Agent for Horticulture.
Oh yes, I'm all about this month. And April is just like when we kick off a lot of gardening activities. So no matter what the benefits are, I feel like, you can enjoy in a lot of different ways gardening across Kentucky.
Yeah, and not only do you get great nutritious food, you know exactly where it came from and how it was raised, but you also might get some of the pretties like the flowers and the herbs and things like that you can bring into your home.
When you first start out gardening, I mean, you a lot of times you put them out first by seed, and then you watch that journey as it goes throughout the season. And so to plant a garden today is to believe in tomorrow. And so there is a lot of truth to that as far as patience and caring for that bloom, or like you said, fruits or vegetables. We have a lot of different gardening levels. There could be beginner to intermediate, where you're kind of have a little bit more than a beginner, but then you may be even also maybe more seasoned, where you have several seasons of growing behind you. The extension office here has some really good information that's all based upon research that I think that could help a lot of people. We have a great resource. It's our Home Vegetable Gardening Guide in Kentucky. We refer to it as publication number ID 128. And with it, there's everything to know about vegetable gardening in Kentucky. So all the way from asparagus to watermelon, everything is in that guide. And it's really handy just to pick it up at your extension office. It is a little bit thick, but it has everything you would want to know about vegetable gardening in Kentucky.
Yeah, because when you search stuff on the internet or maybe pick up a book from a bookstore, our climates are different, our growing seasons are different, and so this is specialized just for Kentucky.
Exactly. There's a lot of information. There's a table of contents page with that, so you can kind of look at getting started if you're new to gardening, or there's some great resources on pests and diseases to watch out for. And then what I really like about it, Joanna, is there's a growing profile in the back, towards the back of the guide, starting with asparagus and then going to watermelon. So depending on what you're growing at that season, you can kind of look towards those profiles in the back. Now, I do want to mention that one of the things that you can do, especially when you're getting started into gardening, is you can look, especially if you have small spaces, like you're maybe in an apartment, or like you don't have a huge amount of land, but you still might want to garden. We have a Gardening for Small Spaces publication, and that's just really good because there's things to think about with gardening in containers, things to kind of think about with the soil, and then also with the cultivar selection that you're utilizing with containers, and then what are the things to consider with raised beds. There's a lot of different materials there to look at and kind of consider. So that is a great publication, I feel like, in itself, and it's ID 248, but Gardening for Small Spaces. So there's a lot of considerations, and if you have questions about any of those things, I know that we can help you with that at the extension office. Now, I wanted to mention, wildlife gardening. It seems like there's always some wildlife you want to attract, specifically insects like hummingbirds, and then also maybe some butterflies. Yeah. Like if that's something that you want to enjoy, because it seems like just seeing the hummingbirds and then also seeing the butterflies in action is just so much fun. It brings you so much joy. It kind of makes you stop and just admire the beauty that's in front of you. So if you are interested in any of those, we have some great resources. It's actually from our forestry department side at the university. And so attracting hummingbirds is Forestry 97. And if you want the butterflies, that's interesting because it's using native plants. So what native plants to Kentucky can best attract butterflies? And that's Forestry 98. So if you're interested in any of those, then I would highly recommend those. Now, I'm a flower child at heart. You know this, Joanna, but there's some annual flowers that give you nice pops of seasonal color throughout the year. They only last one growing season. So if you're interested in maybe what annual flowers do well for Kentucky, that might be a good resource to pick up. And then the perennial flowers, the ones that last more than one growing season, we have it broken down into sun versus shade.
And Kristin, those are all available online as well. So if they
Yes.
didn't want to make a special trip to their extension office, they can find all this information online.
If you have a hard time navigating that and you're like, I would just prefer it mailed, we can do that. Or if you want us just to send you an email with the link so you can click on, we can do that for you as well.
And Kristin, another great resource I feel like that's online at the university is the Center for Crop Diversification, because it has all the different crops on there.
Yes, especially for specialty crops like lavender or maybe some specialty melons or something that's kind of unique, a little bit different. They do have a little bit more specific, especially with cut flowers as well. So if you're interested in that, I would certainly send you to their website to check it out.
We appreciate you watching the Farm and Home Show, and we'll see you next time.